Hi everybody, welcome to this video titled Creating a Demo Environment. My name is Craig Kreskis and I am a partner solution architect here at Microsoft, and I want to say thank you so much for the time and the participation that you're making in this video. Now, I'm sure many of you have been immersed in at least one of your favorite sports in the Olympics. You hear the personal stories, the challenges, and the triumphs. And then, of course, there is the artistic swimming, formerly known as synchronized swimming. And while I was working on a few presentations, I thought I could tie this into software demos and getting ready for this workshop. Now, there's something called judging bias, and it has to do with being judged by your presentations, by your demonstrations. And so in this workshop, in this video, my goal is to elevate your presentations by giving you all of the resources that you need to separate yourself from becoming a gold winner and those who are just simply the silver medal winners. Now, what I'm going to do is I want to talk about all the platforms that you have access to as a partner. I'll talk about some of the scenarios, and then that'll blend into all the resources that you have to get started with creating a trial for this workshop or for any of your upcoming demonstrations. So let's start with talking about the current platforms, what you have as a partner. There are three options. Number one, there is the CDX environment, also known as the Customer Digital Experience. You can visit this website. We used to refer to it as demos.microsoft.com. It will redirect you to the current landing page, which is right here. And you can see at the top of the page where I've highlighted, you click on My Environments. And as a partner, this will vary. There has been some changes to the platform, and notably around security and locking down some of the experiences, but nonetheless, where that'll change, and you'll notice, for example, myself as an employee, I have a lot fewer access or a lot fewer tenants at my disposal. But to get started, remember, always keep your tenant at the quick start, and the quick tenant 90 days. And if you scroll down, you'll see here at the top, this is how I always get started, is I begin with the customer engagement tenant, because this gives me access to all of the applications that I can integrate into with Business Central. That includes sales, customer service, field service, Power Platform, Power Apps, etc. I select the create a tenant, make sure I agree to the terms, accept and continue, and that will provision a demo tenant. This is the name I refer to it as. And what's nice is you have not just admin access, but you have 25 users, personas, that you could use interchangeably in your demonstration. So for example, if you're going to be using demonstrations that require multiple users in a workflow or an approval scenario, this is really where that comes into play, and it's very beneficial for you as a pre-sales individual. Once you're done and you've created that CRM tenant, I'll call it, what I tend to do is I'll Alt-Tab, I'll open up another browser or another tab. Actually, I'll open up another browser. Make sure that you're in private, because you want to separate that tenant that we're going to use and create. And this is where I go and create Business Central tenant. So I go into trials.microsoft.com. This is the landing page. Select on finance to filter out to Business Central. I select try free. And then follow the prompts on your screen. You may come across a survey or two. You can skip that as a partner. And then I choose my trial, and then I select start trial. From here, depending on whether I'm logged into my browser, I may have to log in, log out. I'll hit continue. I'll choose get started. And then I'll skip and get started. Again, I mentioned something about a survey here at the end. And this will take just a moment to provision. And now I have Business Central up and running. And it's integrated into that customer engagement environment I just mentioned. Now, with all three of these examples, I just want to provide a pro and a con. On the pro side, and why this is beneficial, you get a free Microsoft 365 account. You license all of the applications that you might want to use when you're going to present to customers. As I mentioned, you get the customer engagement. And then, of course, you can see here with my question marks, it's kind of a tongue-in-cheek or somewhat I should delete this. And then again, I know that has changed for some of the feedback I've gotten from partners. They have one tenant. Again, it's better than none for this point. And you can leverage your 25 users, and it's just easy to create. On the flip side, it does require me to use an incognito in private browser, although there's been such amazing advancements, obviously, in the browser experience. I create a profile of this user, and that does reduce the number of ways in which I have to enter in my security. The con, again, user login experience and the mobile experience. Now, on the Microsoft 365 expiration, as I mentioned, Business Central on the trial experience will not expire as long as you're creating an evaluation company. So you can create multiple companies in Business Central as long as they are designated as an evaluation company and you're not importing data. The Business Central trial will not expire, right? Once I do create a company and I start importing data as an experience, again, this is a viral experience that we have set up for Business Central, you will start to see the clock tick and do a countdown on how many days you have. So that's option one. Again, CDX, also known as demos.microsoft.com. The second option is a paid sandbox environment. And again, I have the link here on the page, experience.dynamics.com/request license. If you just go out to the experience page, you'll find a plethora, a wealth of resources and information. If you want to go post ideas or you want to vote up ideas on features that are being released, or if you want to learn more about the release planner and what's upcoming in the next major releases of Dynamics 365, you would leverage this site. But again, you do want to select or type in that request license. By doing that, it'll bring you to this current page that I have up on our screen. And as a partner, you can go in and submit your first name, last name, organization. But if you want to learn more about the sandbox environments, and it's not limited to just Business Central. And again, I just want to make sure everybody sees the full list of the applications that you as a partner have access to when it comes to a paid sandbox environment. Now, if I zoom up a little bit, you can see on the screen that Business Central is the first one on the list. The cost for you as a partner, it's $6 per user per month with a minimum of 5 users. So you're looking at a COGS, right? A cost of sale at $30 for your organization per month. So Jen, keep that in mind when we talk about the pros and cons. So again, to sign up, you would submit this form, put in the applications that you're looking for in terms of your sandbox environment. Again, pros and cons for you to weigh out. On the pro side, Business Central doesn't expire. It's a lot easier for you to install industry data as well as your ISV and your third-party applications. And as you're building out your portfolio of customers in industry, right, you want to make sure you're saving some of that customer data that you put forth. And again, on the pro side, it's very easy to create. On the flip side, the con, the one I could think of is obviously on cost. The third and last environment after the paid sandbox, option number 3, is you could just sign up with your work email. If you visit trials.dynamics.com, same navigation I did with the CDX, the first part of our video, select on Finance and Operations, choose Business Central, and then follow the prompts again. Hit the Start Trial, except this time, I put in my work email address. And then follow the prompts as you would to provision Business Central. Now, the pros and cons here. On the pro side, my Microsoft 365 license doesn't expire, so assuming I'm still an employee of my company. The login experience and the mobile experience obviously is going to be a lot easier. I don't have to worry about my credentials because I'm authenticated into my laptop and I'm on the corp network. On the flip side, on the areas that may not be beneficial for this experience, you may not have license to all of the applications that you might want to highlight in your demos. You could have conflicts. So for example, if you have a customer engagement, your sales or your customer service environments, if you want to highlight that, you may not want to show that data to customers. And then of course, you may not have those 25 users. You may be limited in doing things like workflow approvals. And the biggest challenge I found as a pre-sales engineer is I'm not set up as an admin user. And so my Microsoft IT doesn't allow me to have the full access of administrative rights when I'm signed in using my work email. But again, it's a third option for you as you're getting Business Central trials up and running. In terms of scenarios, I want to just talk about some of the tools and resources that'll kind of dovetail into this, but there's a demo playbook that I talk about how you demonstrate Business Central, and then there's the pre-sales workshop. In terms of the demo playbook, I'll share this link in just a moment. These are the scenarios, right? This is a scenarios-based tool that you can demonstrate or use as a guide for your pre-sales demonstrations, or you can use them. It's built in PowerPoint, and it's a click-through demo. And so again, it addresses the majority of the common scenarios like quote to cash, procure to pay, make to stock, managing inventory, or doing a customer approval process. So this is available for you as partners. And again, the same thing is the pre-sales workshop. And then I'll share the links for both of them. So for the resources, this is the link for you to download the file. If you want access to the demo workshop and streaming that to learn more about how I set up all of these in getting the demonstrations ready to go. And then I always tell partners, if you just need one link to remember, this is the link that is all encompassing, includes all of the key essential shortcuts to learn more and to build out your learning plan for Business Central. I want to say thank you so much for your time. Again, I started with thinking about how do I help partners differentiate themselves as you're competing, much like professional athletes are. And sometimes that judging bias, it's hard for us to understand how we're being judged, but we are being judged by our audiences. And so the difference between gold and silver is so narrow. I always want to make sure that you're in the front of that judging bias and that you are looked at as the leader in your presentation. Again, thank you so much. My name is Craig, and I look forward to seeing you again on a video real soon.